Hi everyone, Jessica here from Paper Ink Stamp and welcome back to my channel. So for this first little bit I'm going to be just talking as we walk through what we're going to be doing in today's video, and then when we come to make the cards I'm going to do a voiceover. The main reason for that is because Florence is in the room and she is really starting to find her voice. So the first little bit I just wanted to talk about quickly, you're very much going to hear her in the background, and then yeah, when we actually get into the card making and that, then I can just do a little voiceover for that bit. It's not going to be a problem. So in today's video, she is very excited. In today's video we're going to be using the Sweet Pastel Love paper pad that I just brought out, and we're going to be creating a bunch of cards. So this is going to be kind of a one-star wonder, but we're going to be using a few different pages from in our paper pad. So we've got the Sweet Pastel Love. I brought in a little bit of Blossom Pink by Onyx Studios. So that's what we're going to kind of pair with it. But in some future collections, we're going to be bringing out some coloured card that matches in with your paper pad. So it's a nice little collection. So like I said, it's going to be very similar to a one sheet wonder, but I keep seeing this on YouTube, and this is a sheet load of cards, and this is by Call Me Crafty Owl. So there's her YouTube channel there if you want to go and check her out, and she does these sheet loads. So you've got a template here. She gives you all of the measurements for how to put the cards together, how many cards you're going to create. And then she gives you the dimensions and where you're going to cut from on your patterned papers. So hopefully she's not being too loud. So this is the card layout that we're going to do. It's going to use 3 pieces of pattern paper from our Sweet Pastel Love paper pad, and then so we've got just that pink to bring in for breaking up those patterns a little bit, and then we're going to add a sentiment. I've picked out this stamp set here. This is called Botanical Heart, and I just liked I really struggled to find sentiments that I wanted to put on these cards, and I thought I might use a couple different ones of these in one of these circles here. So I hope that first bit was okay to kind of follow along with. I know she was making quite a bit of noise, but she was really happy there. And yeah, hopefully you guys were okay with that. But I thought I would just go over a few things that I sort of had to cut out of that first bit of footage just because she was making quite a lot of noise. So I'm just going to play this at normal speed just while I go over a few things. So yeah, this is Crafty Owl's sheet load of cards. Again, you can find her YouTube channel. I will put all of her links in the description box down below for you if you want to check those out. So the sketch that we're following, this is the January 2024 sketch. I'll pop some hashtags on the screen here where you can show your sheet loads. So I think the idea is that you kind of, you know, show her what you've created with her sketches, and then pretty much that the credit for these sketches go back to her. They are free, so I have printed mine here, but I am telling you that they are from her, and you know, she gets the credit for this. I'm not taking any credit for the designs or anything. So I've printed this, so it's a free download. I hope it's okay to print, but I figured then you could print it and keep it and we can refer back to it. But on there, so basically you have the layout that you're going to be following. She gives you the supplies needed, how many cards that will create, the dimensions. She has like suggestions and alternatives as well. And then on the second page, she shows you how you are going to cut into your patterned paper and any sort of additional pieces that you're going to need to be able to create these cards. So for hers, she's creating obviously US sized cards. So she has her measurements for 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch cards. But obviously the cards that we create here are the A6 cards, and my card sizes are slightly different just because I like to make my measurements a little bit easier. So the cards that I create are 5 3/4 inches by 4 inches. And then, yeah, it just, like I said, it makes things easier for my brain. And then the pattern paper that she uses is 12 by 12 sheets. And obviously what I'm using here is A4. So I'm going to give you the measurements for how you can cut these down using the A4 sheets to still create these cards. So with her measurements and that, she's created 9 cards, but what I'm going to be creating here today is 8 cards. Okay, so we're going to start off with our pink cardstock. So this is going to be the matte layer for our sort of main panel sheet. So you can get 4 of these panels from an A4 sheet of card. So we're going to need 2 of those to create our 8 cards. And we're going to cut this to 3¼ inches by 5. Like I said, you'll get 2 of these out of, 4 of these out of an A4 sheet. And then we're going to use a little bit of that leftover to create our little strip, which is going to go across our patterned paper panel. And that there is going to measure 1/2 inch by 3 inches. So in total, we're going to use 4 sheets of patterned paper. We're going to have 2 for the backgrounds and then 2 to create our sort of panels on the front, so with the squares and the rectangles. So we're going to start off with this one piece here. I'm going to cut this up, and then the second sheet is going to be exactly the same. For that one, I used the polka dots. So I had something that was quite a busy pattern, and then something that was a little more subtle that kind of just went nicely with it. So the first cut that we're going to make is going to be at 3 inches, and then I'm going to trim that in half to have 2 1½ inch strips. So it doesn't matter whether you do 3, then cut that in half, or just cut 1½ inches and then a second 1½ inches. So when I've got those cut into the strips, I'm going to then cut them 1½ inches square, and I'm going to cut all the way across this. I am going to have some extras left over, so you will have with this bit a little bit more than what we need to make these 8 cards. Of course, you can make more than 8 cards with this. You could do some different designs. I'm going to show you a couple of different cards at the end that I created literally just using the scraps from the patterned paper and a little bit of that pink that I had left over. So you will have a little bit of excess with this patterned paper after we've cut our squares and our rectangles, but that can be used for different projects. So you've got a nice little bit of a scrap. So I've done my first strip. I'm just going to go ahead and cut my second strip down. And like I said, we're going to be cutting 2 of the patterned papers. Like I said, we're going to have a busier one and then a much simpler one. And they're going to be cut in the exact same way. So then for the rectangles, I'm a little bit annoyed because I did lose the footage to cut in both of the rectangles. So I'm just going to tell you so you can see them. You've got them here on the screen. So these measure 1½ inches by 3¼ inches tall. So with your remaining piece of A4 card, you want to trim then at 3¼ and then you can cut again, and I believe it was 5 pieces that you got out of it. You want to cut that 3¼ inch strip into 1½ inch rectangles, and then you'll have enough to do the exact same again. So again, you'll have more pieces than what you need for the 8 cards, but again, you can just use them as scraps. So next up is cutting the background pieces. We've got 2 pieces of patterned paper for this. They are different. So 4 of the cards are going to have one background. The other 4 are going to have a different background. And that's because we can get 4 panels from a sheet of A4. So these are going to measure 5½ inches by 3¾ inches. That's going to fit the card size really perfectly. Even if you have the slightly bigger size, which is literally just cutting down the card bases. So I trim my A4 card down a little bit before I make my card bases. That gives me those measurements. If you left it as they were, these measurements would still work perfectly fine. You just have a slightly bigger white border around than what I do. So I'm just cutting the second set here. So you can see this one is one of my backgrounds. So again, just a really nice background. I was planning to make an envelope out of this, but yeah, I ended up using it on the backgrounds, but it's really nice because you can still see those love hearts just around. The other one I've got is the XOXO background, and that's going to be for the other 4 cards. So you can see all of our panels here. So these are our background panels. So you can see the 2 different patterns that we've got. And just to go over the sizes again, these are 5½ inches by 3¾ These are our rectangles. These were 3¼ inch by 1½. Then we have our squares, which are 1½ by 1½ inches square. And you can see I've got those in both of those patterns. Then we've got these are 5 inches by 3¼ and then I just use the scraps then to cut the little strips on here, which were 1/2 inch by 3 inches. So now we've got all of these, we can go ahead and put one of our cards together. So I do one card here on screen, and because all of them are going to be exactly the same, I've just skipped over the rest of them. I did them off camera, and then I'll come back and show you those, plus a couple of other cards that I created using some of the scraps. And I do make a couple of envelopes, which I'm fairly certain I show you here as well. So I'm just going to show you how we're going to put one of these together. So we're going to start off with our background. I am gluing all of this, but the sentiment then I am going to just prop that up onto a piece of foam just to give it a little extra detail. The card bases I just wanted to mention, I know I mentioned it in a different video, is that Hobbycraft cardstock. Absolutely fine on here for the card bases. I've not really had much problem with that. The ink blending I did have a problem with because it was just kind of flaking apart a little bit. But I have done, card bases with it, and I think I did a little bit of die cut. Yes, I stamped and die cut my sentiments onto this as well, and it was fine. Yeah, it worked quite nicely. I didn't really get much trouble from it. So it's an okay purchase, but I think it really will depend on what you're doing with the paper itself, to be honest. So you can see I added that pink. So the pink matte layer really is just going to help make the patterned paper stand out from that background, because they are quite busy patterns. So all I'm going to do, this is one way of doing it. I just thought I'd show you it this way on camera, but this isn't how then I went and did all of the others, because it was slightly more time consuming. But if you want to make sure that everything lines up perfectly, is you can just turn them over and just add a little bit of washi tape. So literally just, keep them together. So you can see I'm doing one pattern on one side, and then I'm doing that pattern in the square on the opposite side above. Hopefully that makes sense. So we've got one on one side, one on the other, and then we're alternating it for the others, just to break up that pattern a little bit. But all of these papers worked really nicely together. I just thought they worked perfectly as a collection, and it was really nice then to sit down and use a lot of them together. I think I do actually prefer, I've only done one of these obviously, but I think I do kind of prefer doing these sheet load of cards, because you are using more patterned paper. With the one sheet wonders, even though I do double one sheet wonders, you are kind of limiting yourself to just using that one piece. I think it can be a little harder, maybe between using 12 by 12 and A4. Obviously you've got a lot more card with 12 by 12. But yeah, I kind of liked doing this because it meant that I can bring in lots of patterned paper and I can create something slightly different. It was just made a really nice change. So I think we might make this a monthly video when she comes out with her February one, Crafty Al comes out with their February design. We'll go ahead and do that. Again, we've got the hashtags, and I will leave a link to her channel in the description box down below. So you can see I added glue to my patterned paper, added that on top of the pink background there, and just added that strip so our sentiments can sit really nicely on there. So I showed you the sentiment at the start. So like I said, I'm not including any footage of actually making the rest of the cards because they all are exactly the same, and I don't necessarily think you guys need to see it because you saw how we put the card together, but I just wanted to show you the sentiment that I decided to pop on this. So I did show you this Botanical Hearts from Simon Says Stamp. Like I said, I kind of struggled actually to find sentiments that I really wanted to put on this, just because of the design. I wanted something that obviously stands out as well. So I'm doing everything in a production line. So I made that one card on camera with you, and then the rest of them I did literally as a production line. So I put all the backgrounds on, then I did all the pinks, then I did all of the patterned panels on there, then I did the strips, and that's no different then for our sentiments either. So you can see I've taken one of those decorative circles from our stamp set, literally just stamped those on. I do think this is the cardstock as well actually, and it's stamped fine onto there. I'm using some Versafine Onyx black ink, and then what I'm going to do is pick a couple of the different sentiments. I think I did 2 of each, so I would have done 4 sentiments each. There was 2 cards then in the set that had the same sentiment, and literally just stamped those into the center of these circles, and then I took a die. So if I just measure, so our circles are just shy of 1.5 inches on here, and yeah, I just took a regular circle die and just die cut these circles out. So you can see my die cut top is there. So I could have added a bit of colour to this. I could have matte and layered these as well, but to be honest, I thought there was so much going on with all that patterned paper on there that I would really just leave it white, black and white, and just let that be kind of a focal point of its own. Obviously, yeah, I could have layered that with the pink underneath it, and that could have helped it sort of stand up a bit more, but I'm actually really happy with how these turned out. So like I said, I really enjoyed using this sheet load of cards opposed to a one sheet wonder. Let me know what you guys think down below, because I know some of my one sheet wonder videos do quite well on here, and obviously with the bringing out the patterned papers, and I do really want to be able to show you these papers, sort of like using them for different kinds of projects and things, and yeah, just hopefully you'll be able to love them just as much as I do. So yeah, let me know what you think about doing these sheet load of cards, maybe opposed to doing the one sheet wonders. And what I'll be doing as well is then kind of converting them from US sizes and creating US size cards to for us here in the UK. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that as well, because yeah, I really enjoyed this doing this today. So this is the Sweet Pastel Love paper pad. There is a link in the description box down below to my Etsy shop if you want to purchase it. You get 16 sheets in here. You have 8 designs, 2 of each, one portrait, one landscape, and they are, you can see here, A4 in size and 180 GSM. So I'll leave a link in the description box down below for those. But yeah, these are the cards. So you can see how they're going to slightly alternate a little bit from the sentiments to the backgrounds to where the pattern paper is sitting within that kind of grid of paper there. So a really fantastic way of using a paper collection. Of course, you can do this using 12 by 12 A4. You might even be able to do this with some 8 by 8 pads possibly. So literally whatever you've got to hand, you could make your own patterned papers as well. But it's just about basically following that layout more than anything else. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing this today. So I did say that I created some other cards just using some scraps. Unfortunately, I didn't capture them on my camera. I did it on my phone. So I'm just going to show you these here. So they aren't going to be full screen. But yeah, this was pretty much just using scraps that I had left over. I used sentiments from that same card pack. So yeah, I got an extra, I think it was an extra 4 cards or 5 cards here. Yeah, literally just using scrap pieces and just creating kind of a patchwork look to this really. And then I thought I would make a couple of envelopes as well. So I made this one and a stripy one as well, just to show you that you can create envelopes with these papers as well. And they work so lovely. I absolutely love how this envelope looks. I think it's perfect. That pattern just works really, really nicely here. So yeah, that is this video. So let me know what you think. You'll find all the information in the description box down below. If you enjoyed it, then please give this video a thumbs up. That's the other envelope you can see there. And yeah, leave me a comment down below to let me know what you think. So that's going to be it for this video. Thanks very much for watching and happy crafting.